Hi, Adam. Nice
Hey,
to finally chat with you. And
yeah,
th
likewise. Good to chat
th
with you.
this conversation is, I think, long overdue since we always communicate with the Instagram or Facebook.
Right.
Uh, so a moment ago, you said something which I thought it was of value, and I wanted to make sure that the listeners are also listening to what you're saying. Please continue.
Yeah, totally. Initially when you and I bumped into each other, Stefan from Pharmacist, he sent me your way. He basically said that there was a book out that features some of the artwork that I did for him, and that was my exposure to you. So I actually got that book from him as a gift.
All right.
That's when I decided to reach out to you. So I looked through it and I was like, I really admired how you were digging into the art, the artistic, the visual aesthetic, the that side of heavy metal or heavy music or gore grind or whatever it is. And there's a lot featured in these books, ranging from heavy metal to underground gore grind. So I really appreciated that, and that's kind of what spawned our relationship, you and I. I think I just, properly introduced myself and you kind of gathered that I do, visual art, but I also did a lot of what was featured in your book, which I think we were both kind of tickled by. But yeah, since then, we've done a couple projects together that I've really been happy with, and I think people have been happy with in general.
I think this is the one you're talking about, right?
Yep, that right there, that
Pharmacist.
especially that alternative artwork right there.
Um, yes, the thing is, ever since I got into the band Carcass, it's something that I can't get out of my head. Not just the music, but the visuals, and
Right.
and the visual is something that is not seen anywhere else except for this niche of metal.
Yeah.
Um, and in my opinion, no one does it better than you. But, but by
Making
far.
me blush.
No, man, no, man. I'm not very good at compliments, and this is not what I'm doing. Uh, and so, did this start with Carcass for you as well, or did you have a different beginning?
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, we got to be honest. It's a few things. I've always been just disassembling things and rearranging them. My toys when I was a kid. When I was real young, I was really into puppetry and making puppets. So that was kind of my thing. And then I remember going into a record store. I had to have been like 10 years old. My dad was looking for a Lilith Fair compilation. I don't know, something like that. But I saw these vinyl records and I was like, holy shit, what are these? Vinyl records. They were phasing these out. And it was Reek of Putrefaction and Symphonies of Sickness. So I was looking at these Gore collages, 10 years old. And I was enthralled. I just completely enthralled. I remember scanning every bit of it. I had never seen anything like that. I had so many questions, you know,
Yes.
um, but I was there for it. And then we had this family encyclopedia at my house that had a lot of stuff like that, like kind of anomalies, and it covered everything. But one of them I remember was a famous painting called The Triumph of Death. And I used to scan over that the same way, just look for spots in there that one could hide from those living skeletons. And so I would immerse myself in these highly detailed paintings, even Where's Waldo? Geez, stuff like that. So I've always had a kind of an obsession for high detail, really busy artwork, lots of color. Um, Seeing these Carcass designs, kind of set it off. That followed me for a long time. Then I finally found death metal and heavy metal. and you decided to start a punk band or a gore grind band with some of my friends, and we did the same thing. We did these just kind of trite gore collages. That's where I started really practicing it. And honestly, some of these ideas that ended up actualizing themselves in my later work, at this point, my early work, but those were ideas that I had been carrying for decades, just visions and ideas that I would constantly go back to. And God, I think in 2010, I decided to actually just start exploring it completely. And 2015, I started working with other people and collaborating.
Okay.
Right.
When I was first doing this, so obviously this is what it started for me, and also this is the book that I've printed. I think I printed 700 of this.
Okay.
And this is the first book that I printed a large amount, at least for me. And when they made the delivery, the kitchen was completely covered with boxes. And I thought, what the hell I'm gonna do now with all these books?
Right.
And then as soon as I started to advertise them on Facebook, they just honestly they just vanished.
Nice.
I couldn't believe it. And then I was like confused, happy, um, because what I wanted to sort of assemble is or was like anything like grotesque but beautiful at the same time.
Right.
That's why the layout is or I tried to do it as if it was like a medical book.
Yeah.
Because often when you see metal art books, you know they're full of textures, fake blood, this and that. So I wanted to make it look as if it was a medical book.
Right. Yeah. Well
And
executed.
then a couple of years went on, and then I wanted to do a second one. So same approach, but a little bit more gritty, if you like.
Right.
And then I wanted to be more extreme. But then I went to Discogs and I did some research, and the extreme stuff was too extreme, even for me.
Some of it is, yeah.
No, some is just is so I just had to tone it down, and because the stream is just too much. I mean, even when I worked on your books, I was like working and looking away at the same time, like looking what I was doing, looking what I was doing and looking away, like try to look but don't look.
Right.
So that's when I came across your work, and then I thought, oh man, imagine just this style into a book, what that would be. Um, what did you think of your first release? This one.
That was honestly a dream actualized. Yeah, I've always wanted to have a coffee table book available, a coffee table art book, and this was kind of the first opportunity for that. And I was really happy. Curating the artwork was more tedious than I had anticipated. Also, yeah, kind of going across a lot of it. I just make this stuff organically. It comes out. I don't really know what's going on when it happens. So going back and doing stuff like curating it for release, remembering the titles, it all just kind of comes back to you. And I was like, damn, what the hell was my brain trying to tell the world with this one, So there was a lot of that, a lot of reflection on the work. I think, gathering this work for the book was a great opportunity to reflect on things. I was also just really happy that you were interested in taking a chance on getting a book made, kind of showing me what the process is like. So that was really cool. It's been honestly a fun collaboration, just kind of handcrafting stuff and giving people incentive to make their purchases. And I've talked to a lot of people that have bought the book, and they just absolutely love it. It's their
That's
prized
amazing.
possession. Yeah.
That's amazing. When you, I know I asked you this question, I think a couple of times in for one of the other publication. Have you ever, like, when you do this stuff, thought about, like, this is like too much? Like,
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? Like this is just
totally.
okay. And what do you do? Like,
I off oftentimes, yeah, and I do have limits stuff I won't mess with just because it's at that point I got to consider what I can handle
Mhm.
for my own sake. So I know my limits, and also putting the art out there too. Some people are shaken by a lot less than me, so and I understand that. It's kind of the nature of my artwork, though. Is It's very confrontational, high texture, high graphic stuff, and that's both in theme and in style and aesthetics. So I explore extreme textures and extreme themes. Not always violence, though. I
Mhm.
do feel like a lot of my work isn't so violent. It's just very very visceral.
Mhm.
It's the violent stuff where I try to be careful because I don't want to cross into realms where I'm glorifying things that I'm
Yes,
not.
yes, of course, of course, of course.
Right. I do believe by nature, though, sometimes this artwork is dangerous. Expression is dangerous. And that's just what happens. I would hope that it falls into good understanding with people, but
Mhm.
I can't control how people see it. I'm
Of
always
course.
interested in what it invokes in people because oftentimes I don't even really have an aim for this stuff, but themes do appear, like themes of teeth and eyes and hands and stuff like that. So that's just my own personal stuff kind of coming out in, a visual sort of reoccurrence. But um, in in terms of exploring political ideas or the stuff that we face here as Americans, in our place in the world in general. I'm pretty careful with what I put out there, but also I'm pretty solid with what I believe, and I don't have a problem confronting certain things. You get oftentimes white people say like, "Oh, I want a White History Month" and stuff like that. So I had the idea with one called it's a piece called "The American Rope." It explored what white history would look like, and that was the ugly side. So
Yeah.
that was using archived photos of the lynchings and the civil rights struggles. They're powerful images, and I do believe you need to be careful with how you use those, especially as someone that's not of color. Um, but I think what my focus was the white smiling happy faces kind of scattered throughout it, and the white violence. So that was one that I was kind of like, should I share this? Should this be kind of more of a personal one? But then I was like, you know what? Why not? Let's share it. Let's kind of put that out there and see what happens.
Give me, like, it could be misunderstood.
Yeah, or some people would say, "Hey, that's not your place to even say anything about it." Which, at this point, if I don't say it, who will? And if
Mm.
I can't use the language that I communicate with the best, which is my creative output,
Mhm.
then then who else is going to say it?
Maybe it's just like you were saying earlier, like, people see things differently. So when I have approached your work, obviously I projected my own taste and my own likes and dislikes. So for me, I kept seeing classical paintings. So for some reason, I didn't see politics. I didn't see, like, um, like heavy stuff like that. I saw, like, colors, nature, eh, you know, coming out in a different form. That's what I saw. Of course, especially when you in your more abstract pieces, because
I
I
like
think
that.
the because I think the brain looks for patterns. So that's what, because when I look at artwork, I don't want to, like, I want to isolate myself with the negativity of the world. So I just want to look for patterns in nature, and also perhaps make reference to classical paintings, or from the Renaissance. So that's how I like to approach when I look at something like yours.
Do you have
Uh,
a favorite classical painting?
I like Caravaggio a lot. The
Yeah,
light, how he uses light, and obviously the classics. I like religious art a lot. I mean, if you go to Italian churches or even French churches, uh, so I don't know if people have noticed this, but there's a lot of gory art as well.
there
Because
is.
yeah, because they portray like the saint martyrdom. So there's a lot of explicit, explicit like torture, like people being cut in half, like in an altar, being people cut in
Right.
half, or boiled alive, that kind of thing. So
Yeah.
like, so yeah, again, going back to how I see it. So that's because I'm, the way I've been brought up, that was my sort of training as a young man, to look at religious art, and and to see things which might be spiritual in nature. So that's why, yes, when I see your work, I mean, I hear what you explain to me, and it makes sense to me, and I'm with you 100%, in your message. But when I see like things like this,
Yeah.
yeah, I think there is an element of beauty in it. Uh,
That one,
so, mhm.
yeah, well, I have a obsession with color. I feel I might see color differently than most. Maybe I'm not sure exactly, but I really I just I love working with it, and histopathology and histology slides, the way they're dyed and the way they bring colors and textures together.
Yes.
Naturally, I love collaging with that. That specific piece, there was a plastinated. The doctor, he's an anatomist named Gunther von Hagens. He's he plastinates bodies and puts them on display for body worlds. And one of the exhibits was a human sexuality, or the biology of human affection and sexuality. And that centerpiece right there was, basically two bodies brought together in a loving embrace. Uh, that that one stood out to me, and I saw it adorned in flowers and this colorful pathology. And that one is a gift I made for someone very special. So yeah,
and,
sometimes
and also,
yeah,
let's not forget the anatomical model from Florence. I don't know if you came across. So they're basically wax models of the bodies,
yeah,
exploring. Or yeah, yeah. I'm sure you know them.
right, right,
The organs, and the way they are presented. They're just beautiful. They have decorations. There's a like a plinth or a stand, and the
yeah.
pose. They have a pose. They're not just laying down. You know what I mean? So I think
Their posture follows a flow as their anatomy blooms out. You
yes,
know,
yes, yes, yes,
it's elegance. It's
yes,
anatomical elegance.
yes, yes. So I mean, aside from my interest in metal and this kind of music, I love. I find this sort of stuff, fascinating. In London, there are a couple of museums, like important museums, like the Natural History Museum, or there's another one near, Auburn, that showcase this kind of art. I mean, it's made for science and the university, but as you know, there are people like myself that have nothing
Yeah.
to do with science. No, I mean, of course, I love science like anyone else, but I'm not a scientist or a doctor. But
Right.
like I have this innate curiosity about this sort of thing. So have you had like any negative feedback from people, like misunderstanding what you do, or um,
Yeah.
what kind of
Um,
feedback?
I've had all sorts, whether it be just comments, certain pieces I've had to turn comments off, and that's fine. It's all right if people
Mhm.
don't see what I'm doing. I've had compliments, kind of like, I enjoy that you're doing art, but I don't like what you're doing,
Mhm.
a lot of that. Uh, just because my group of people that I know is not really a whole bunch of roughneck punk rockers or metalheads. I have a lot of just normal people in my life as well that they happen to know that I do art, and then they go looking and they're like, oh shit. So
It's not for everybody.
it really isn't. And if people are curious about it, I try to help explain what I'm doing to the best of my own knowledge. I don't really know what I'm doing or what my artistic mission is, but I know for a fact that I'm doing this for myself. My concern is not in what people think about it. It's in what I think about it. And
Yes, yes, of course.
I know that's kind of a double-edged sword, because a lot of the stuff I put out is just,
Mhm.
people might get the wrong idea on death or gore or otherwise, destroyed anatomy. The way I see it is kind of, I really like to just harness the imbalance of symmetry being destroyed. So, kind of contorted, extreme angles. Uh, I try to not be violent in the work, but I do understand that a lot of my work just has violence in it.
And the other book that we done together. Sorry, I have to highlight the names. So the first one is Morgue Pleasures. Do you remember
More pleasures.
more? Yeah. Do you remember we sort of went back and forward a few times to trying to see what kind of name would be best fitting. I don't know if you remember over Instagram. I think the name is pretty
Right.
cool. It has a nice ring to it. Also,
Yeah.
it's like two. I would just say two opposites, because a morgue is not for pleasure,
Right.
but so it just a weird combination of words, which for somehow, in my opinion, they work really well for the book. And the other one is called Morgue Noir, so it's similar sort of style, but in black and white.
Yeah.
So tell me, like, how do you work with black and white and color? Because you mentioned already that you the way you use color, but how is different with black and white?
Well, first off, it's really hard to decide which one of those two that I like better. And I like them both, but it's a hard choice because that Morgue Noir is beautiful.
Yes, it's
It
very nice.
really it showcases the texture. Would you say? I,
Yes, I mean, I love black and white, and I love black and white that is um, detailed but with high contrast.
yeah.
But the contrast needs to be enough not to lose the details. So
Right.
you like the contrast. I mean, this is how I'm reading it. Forgive me if I'm getting all wrong. So it feels like the contrast is pushed to the right balance. Um,
Right.
for each piece, like this one, like
Oh
like
yeah.
this one here. So the contrast any lower, and it start to look cloudy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Any higher, you lose the detail. So,
Exactly. It
and I love
becomes
the
washed out and too
yeah.
bright.
So what do
Well,
you think? How do you work with
I
black and white?
working with black and white, it's definitely it's different. there are a couple ways you can do it. You can initially work with black and white source material, which I've done. And that, that's cool that you can, after that, still mess with contrast and brightness and reveal details that might not have been otherwise present, or you'll lose details if you tweak it too much. So the black and white aspect, that's where digital editing comes in. I kind of have a way I subtly mess with it and bring balances out to kind of highlight things that I want people to see. A lot of the color work too, it has a lot of high detail. So it's easy to just shift it to black and white and then work on the settings from there. It's actually very, very easy work. Some work that initially starts out in color, I think just feels way too disbalanced. Like there's not a good flow or a gradient. So I'll shift it to black and white and it actually feels complete that way.
Okay. The other thing that I love about your black and white work is that they don't look like collage. They look together. Like it feels like everything belongs to each other.
Yeah.
It doesn't. I mean, again, this is my opinion. It doesn't feel like it's a collage or a blend of different elements or different images.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, a lot of that is a lot of these are digital collages. They are sourced from analog materials that have had analog efforts put into them.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
This is a great pieces.
A lot of the images or the pieces that have like ghosted images over them, I'll either use like tape transfer, which is pretty easy, or I'll just basically do the digital equivalent to that and create little transfer files that tend to ghost into images that are more of a foundation. So there's a lot of ways to do it. I really like stepping outside of the digital aspect as much as possible and making it as mixed media as I can.
How do you come up with the names?
That is just, I don't know. I'm terrible at coming up with names. They're random stabs in the dark. They're just obscure thoughts trailing off into the caverns of my mind. But I am good because I'm constantly thinking about stuff. I'm good at just jotting down ideas on my notepad. So,
and you mentioned earlier that your one of your main source of inspiration or material is scientific books.
Yeah, atlases of forensic pathology specifically. Okay. I do have a few books, like there's one called The Pathologic Basis of Disease, and that's full of like histopathology and histology slides, but it also shows kind of gory stuff, like segments of entrails they cut out, which is good for texture. But it's those atlases of forensic pathology where you can get a lot of the really gory stuff, basically the stuff you would find on the glorified Gore sites. Those books are very expensive.
Oh, okay. So yeah, it's all like official stuff. It's nothing from like weird underground,
right. Nothing weird underground. I keep it official, and I try to modify as much of the material as I can too, just by mixing and matching details to cut down on redundancy. And there are a lot of, I hate to say it, but there are a lot of people that will literally rip off my work and put it onto like underground Gore mixtape videos. And I try to modify the original Gore in a way to where I can identify when people do that, so I can at least call them out and give them shit.
Okay, fair enough.
Tired of that.
And outside of the metal scene, have you had interest from different kind of genres or?
Yeah, definitely. I've done artwork for books, like extreme horror books. There's a
Okay.
genre out there, extreme horror. I'm not too familiar with it, but I've done I've officially done artwork for I think 2 Gore mixtapes just because I gave up and I'm like, fine, here, if you guys are going to use it anyways, here's a piece,
Mhm.
whatever. But a lot of harsh noise, power electronics artists, um, just general collaborations with other artists, like releasing zines, printed goods and stuff like that. And then, yeah, outside of
Uh,
metal.
Um, Another question I wanted to ask you, since when we started this conversation, I mentioned Carcass. What do you think of the last cover of the I can't remember the name. Oh man, I can't remember the name. But the one with the vegetables.
Oh, the last Carcass album
Yeah.
cover. I mean, I I love
We all
those guys.
we all friends
I
here.
think it's I think it's great that they're still as Carcass. I really wish they wouldn't have done that. I get what they're doing though. That's cool. It was an awesome arrangement, a very well done. It was a very well done collage of vegetables to form. Was that more of a? Would you say a mosaic of vegetables arranged to form a heart? And
I
I
don't
don't know. I
know.
thought it was all right.
There is an old I can't remember the name for the life of me. I can't remember the name, but there's an Italian artist from I don't know. He used to make this portrait made of fruits and vegetables. I'm sure you've seen them. If anyone remember who is this artist, please write it in the comments. So when I first saw the cover, I thought, oh,
It reminded me of that too.
yeah,
Definitely.
why
I
not?
guess I'm just sore because I
I'm
know
gonna have a nice salad now.
at this point Jeff Walker he has to have seen my work, and I just would have appreciated him reaching out. That's all.
Yes, yes. When I did the interview with him for this book, he did all the collage himself.
He's awesome. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
his
Yes,
work inspired what I do.
yes, yes.
Part of
This
it.
is another one of my favorite sort of
Oh yeah,
gore.
sublime cadaveric decomposition.
Yes, I find the album cover. I think the singer or the drummer does the artwork.
He's got
Um,
great vision too.
yes, yes, indeed.
It's bringing
Um,
that eroticism with the gory
yes,
destruction of human remains. It's always
yes,
been kind of an interesting idea.
yes, and also there is movement.
Yeah. Oh
It's
yeah.
not a yeah, there is movement. I love that. So this is
There's definitely kind of a actionistic feel to it. Oh
yes.
yeah, classic.
So this is the if
I
people are
like the
not familiar with
hands.
it, yes, the hands, yeah, yeah, yeah. I was I think I was maybe 14 when I first saw it, and
Yeah.
I couldn't get it out of my head. I never seen anything like that before. Before it, obviously
It's
at
amazing.
14.
It's an amazing arrangement. He brought those decedents to life. He
Yes.
breathed new life into them. And there's a band called Flatus from Australia that actually they wrote a song specifically about Jeff Walker and the collage work he did, and it kind of it encompasses this artwork in general. Um, but the way they wrote it is so poetic and beautiful. I highly suggest you read it. I think it's called Celebrity Heads by a band called Flatus.
Okay.
I did art. I only know them because I did artwork for them. They actually they recorded the album to make the artwork happen. They basically made the album because of the artwork. So I was like, wow, that's amazing and flattering. But these lyrics specifically are kind of an honor. They honor Jeff's work, and the way they do it is really really good.
And also the lyrics. the way the lyrics are written, especially in the first three albums, not so much with hard work, because from hard work I think they changed style, obviously.
Yeah,
But like using medical terms. I
they're
mean,
genius.
yeah, it's fucking genius.
It's so poetic but
Yes,
it maintains the if you understand the medical terminology, it is a perfect, elegant, poetic use of these fucking terms. And I'm just like,
yes,
I believe these guys were like 16 or 18 when they were
yes,
recording this and writing this material. And I'm just like, you're a bunch of little geniuses, man.
yes, because also the lyrics are not like random words. Like once like you said, you translate it, you know what those words mean. They actually say something. I mean,
Yeah,
maybe it's not like Shakespeare, fine, but it doesn't matter. But
right.
actually, it says something. Especially on the third album, Necroticism. Like
Yeah.
each song is like a different way to use the body. Like I think one is about to use the body as a musical instrument.
Yep.
And then there's another one to use the body, but like with the body parts put in a different way.
Uh-huh.
And is actually like, I mean, I read the lyrics like really carefully. It's actually quite funny. Like there is a bit of humor there as well.
Yeah. And then
And
incarnated solvent abuse using the body to get high.
yeah, that's true. That's like there's nothing like it
Right.
in metal. It's so unique. I love that album. I think it's one of my top five metal album, Necroticism. I love it. From song to song, from back to back. It's an incredible album.
Right. Well, in those early Gore collages, they had their own kind of feel of confrontation. They were out there letting chickens free and trying to, rescuing chickens, and I believe were active vegans.
Yes, they still are. I think they still are.
Yeah. So the collages of human gore was, kind of I'm paraphrasing, but it's, not any less meat than the meat that you eat, so
Mhm. Yes,
have
yes.
a look. And I always I admired that sort of just putting it in people's face,
Mhm.
um, I myself, I never enjoyed being censored from being able to see something. Blur marks really bother me. But I understand why it's necessary for sure. It just, yeah, it all comes down to what people can and can't handle.
I think Carcass as a death metal band in terms of lyrics, artwork, it just it sets them apart from any other death metal band. Like
I agree.
right from the start, like right from the first album, it's just so. I mean, it's just so different because even when they came out around the same time, what you had like Cannibal Corpse, and when I spoke to them, they didn't want to have that kind of look. They wanted to have something real. So so
Yeah,
so the most realistic thing that could hand that like this I think came out around the same time.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Butchered at birth.
Yes, yeah. I mean, it's a great album. I love the
Classic.
cover, classic. Yeah. I mean,
That Vincent Locke actually inspired, because I used to do a lot of illustration myself as well, and Vincent Locke was a huge inspiration.
yes, yes. No, it's a great artist. I mean, every artwork it does for Carnival Corpse, in my opinion, never fails. It's always a great,
Yeah,
and always like looking forward. Like, what is the next one going to be like? Um, I don't think with the last Carcass album, even though it was extremely well executed, I felt the same. To be honest, but you know,
I just
anyway.
hope Carcass does one of those fun re-recordings of their first album and lets me do their artwork.
You know what I asked Jeff when I did the interview with him for this book? I said to him, Jeff, would you be interested to launch this book and you guys play the first three albums in full? And he said, no. He said, I don't think Clive would agree to that.
Oh,
I thought, man, what
well,
a shame.
what a
Uh,
shame.
what a shame. What a shame.
That would still be
Uh,
amazing.
absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, when I see them live now, like in the latest the latest gigs, I always hope for an old track. I actually saw them in 1989 when they released the first album,
Oh,
and
wow.
Jeff was singing with two microphones.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
one had like a more like a
It was a
distorted
pitch
culture.
shifter.
Yeah. And then the other one just normal growl. It was a great gig. I was only 16. It was a fucking great gig. I love
It
it.
was like
I
the
love it.
Grind Crusher tour or something.
That's it. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Grand
Yeah.
Crusher. Yeah. So it was both for Morbid Angel, Carcass, and the Napalm Death.
Right. Classic earache lineup.
Yes, indeed. Adam, what do you think? Shall we stop here? I think we talked for a bit now.
I was gonna try, but this background kind of drowns it all out. See,
Okay.
I don't know how to get rid of this background.
So Adam, before we stop, I wanted to ask: is there another? Do you think we could do another book?
Is there a what? I'm sorry.
Do you think we could do another piece, another book together? Do you have
Oh
enough
yeah,
material?
I would love to. Honestly, yeah. There's a lot of because I'm constantly making stuff, just whether it be for myself or other projects. So there is no shortage of material and stuff I really want to share.
Excellent. So I'm just gonna
Uh,
please continue. Yeah.
Well, I was thinking maybe I can put a little more into because the one bit of feedback I got was people wanted to read more about the
Okay.
pieces. So I was thinking I'll try my best to prepare a little more verbiage for people.
Okay. Yeah. Why not? I think it would be a good addition to the pieces.
Yeah,
Uh, anyway, anyone listening to this, thank you very much for being here with us. So these two great books are still available. So
yeah,
get them while they are in the store. So these two are being released, and Adam, you're going to be on the new one of the first Aesthetics of Sickness. I mean, even
I'm very
title,
excited.
the title, I got the title from Carcass, because Carcass, of course, has an album called The Symphonies of Sickness. So Aesthetic of
True
Sickness.
inspirations.
Absolutely.
Well, I
And
really appreciate you including me. Thank you so much.
of course, and your friend from Mexico has got also awesome stuff. That
Carlos.
Carlos, yeah, that's it. Yeah, Carlos.
Yeah, Carlos
I
is the
think,
man. Carlos inspired a lot of my artistic vision as well. He has such a style that is unmatched. He works with texture in a way too that yeah, I I go back to his work and I keep on looking at it. And for anyone listening, if you can get your hands on his art videos, they're called Sangre, one through I think there are like four of them now. Try
okay,
to get those because they're amazing.
okay, I'll find them and I'll put the links in the description as well.
Yeah, it's harsh noise, glitch. It mixes glitch, gore, harsh noise. It's really good
Amazing,
stuff.
amazing. Thanks, Adam. Anyone watching, thank you, and yeah, keep rocking.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Hey folks, thanks for watching this podcast. If you enjoyed this interview, please like, share, and subscribe. Tell your friend, your family, and your cat, and stay awesome. Don't forget to check out our store at www.headingmusicartwork.com. Ciao for now.